Coming up next, it's adventure time.
Coming up next, more What's New, Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Craig of the Creek.
Coming up next, Annoying Orange. Later, Mad on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Adventure Time. Later, a new regular show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Teen Titans Go. Later, regular show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Pokémon Black and White rival Destinies on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Teen Titans Go. Later, the amazing world of Gumball on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Steven Universe. Later, Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Teen Titans Go. Later, the amazing world of Gumball on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Steven Universe. Later, the amazing world of Gumball on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Tom and Jerry Shiver Me Whiskers on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, the amazing world of Gumball. Later, Adventure Time on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Johnny Test on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more of the amazing world of Gumball. Later, Adventure Time on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Tom and Jerry tales on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more of the Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu special event. Later, Clarence on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Almost Naked Animals on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Pokémon the Series XY on Cartoon. Coming up next, a new regular show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Lego Star Wars The Empire Strikes Out. Later, Lego Star Wars Padawan Menace on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, The Looney Tunes Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Adventure Time on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, The Amazing World of Gumball. Later, regular show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Tom and Jerry Blast Off to Mars on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, The Tom and Jerry Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, a new Adventure Time. Later, a new regular show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, DreamWorks Dragons Riders of Berk on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Teen Titans Go. Later, Cartoon Planet on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Steven Universe meets Uncle Grandpa. Later, Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Uncle Grandpa on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Clarence on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Clarence. Later, new Steven Universe on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Madagascar on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Tom and Jerry, the Fast and the Furry on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Ed, Edd and Eddy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Teen Titans Go. Later, Clarence on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Teen Titans Go. Later, anew The Amazing World of Gumball on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, more Uncle Grandpa. Later,
Clarence.
on Cartoon Network. Coming up next,
Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Coming up next,
Sonic Boom.
on Cartoon Network. Coming up next,
More new Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu.
later,
The Amazing World of Gumball.
on Cartoon Network. Coming up next,
Incredible Crew.
on Cartoon Network.
Damn, would you look at the time? The whole white world is feeling the vibe. Sit down, buckle up, it's a long ride. This is spaceship, all hands inside. Zoom, past the hate in the room. Gravitate from your door.